Hi Finxter, what's up? It's Chris, founder of Finxter.com, and in today's video we are going to explore the Python equal to operator. So it's a pretty basic Python operator, one of the comparison operators in Python, and you can use it actually on all type of objects that implement the dunder equal magic methods. So there are some magic methods, as you will see, that can be overwritten by any programmer, and this means that and if you actually override those methods, you can implement some specific functionality like checking for equality or doing some basic built-in stuff with your custom objects. But let's have a quick example of on how the equal to operator works. So say you have a value x and set it to 42, then you have another variable y, say set it to 21 plus 21, and now you check is x equal to y, and this one here, this double equal symbol, is the Python equal to operator. And you can of course use it on numeric values, but you can also use it on strings, for example. So say you have one string hello, and you have another string he plus LLO. Okay, so you perform a string concatenation operation on the right, and on the left you simply have the string. Okay, so these are two different string objects, or maybe two different string objects. Sometimes they are actually not two different string objects. Sometimes they are just in memory, mapped to the same memory location. But they may be, and you can check different string objects for equality like this, and the result is true as well. And for example, you can also do the same for lists. So you can check list 1 2 is equal to 1 2 3, which is not the case, but if you have a list with only one element, so for example the same element, in this case this would be true. Okay, so even though those two lists are actually not the same memory location, you can check this with the is keyword that basically checks the memory address of this list and of this object and the memory object of this list and compares them. And the memory locations of those lists are actually different. So if you would change one list, if you change the former list here, you wouldn't change the latter list, okay, because they point to different objects in memory. So therefore, like the comparison operator, the equality operator, doesn't actually look at the memory addresses. It just checks element-wise for those collection types whether the elements evaluate to true when using the comparison operator. So it's like an element-wise equal to comparison. Okay, so let's dive on how to implement the equal to method on custom objects. So say you have a class person. I always use this example, and you have a constructor method in it. The first variable is always the reference to the object itself, and now we set a variable age in our person object, a person class. Okay, so it's basically a person is just an object with one attribute, and the attribute is the age. So say you have Alice with age 18, then you have another person, Bob. Bob is 19 years old. Say you have a third person, Carl, and Carl is also 18 years old. Now what you want to accomplish actually is check if Alice is the same as Bob, has the same age, for example. Yeah. But now, like if you basically, you can, like the Python equal to operator is always implemented, so you can always run it. You can see it now, the result is false. Yeah, but it is always per default. You can actually compare all kinds of objects, but per default it will just compare the memory location basically of the objects, as we have seen in the is operator. But you can actually override the equality functionality using the eq method, and you pass two parameters into it: the reference to the object itself, as for any method you always pass a reference to the object itself on which you call the method, and then you pass a reference to another object with which you want to compare it actually. And you can then return any Boolean value. So for example, we return self.age is equal to self.other. Okay, so basically reduce the equality problem for our person class to the equality operation, to the equality problem of our age attributes. Okay, so we check the age attributes of, sorry, so this was what I wanted to do. So we check the age attributes of our self object, so of ourself, and of the other object for which against which we want to compare it. Okay, and now we can again call Alice equal Bob, so we can compare our custom objects, and this basically would then reduce to comparing the ages of both. Okay, so in this case it would still result false because they have different ages, as you see, so they have different age values. But now you can do the following. You can, for example, do Alice is equal to Carl, and even though those are different objects, they have the same age, so the equality operator should return true, and you see the result is true as well. Okay, so this allows you, like, you can implement arbitrarily complicated equality operations in this magic method done the EQ, and this gives you a lot of control of the behavior of your custom objects. Okay, so now you may want to ask, how can we check if a value is equal to multiple values? So say, let's maybe go back to the interactive mode, and say we have a variable x, which is 43 minus 1, we have variable y, and we have variable z, which is 21 plus 21. And now we want to check if all are actually, all have the same value. How can we do this? I mean, the most simple case would be just using the equality operator, chaining the equality operator like this. This actually works in Python, and this is semantically identical to checking first x is equal to y, and then using the logical AND operation to check if y is equal to z. Okay, so both of them, like this one, is just a syntactical sugar for this operation. Okay, so otherwise they are basically the same. Now you may want to actually compare, check whether a variable x is equal to either a or b. So for example, you have variable x is 42, variable a is 21 plus 21, and variable b is 43, some value 43 times 2, something like this. Yeah, so now you want to check if x is either a or b or both, so you want to perform logical AND operation on equality testing. So how can you do this? The most concise way, straightforward way I would use is using the in method, and you can for example put all values you want to compare against. This can also be like, you can have multiple elements. You can check if x is equal to multiple of those elements, and you just put all of those elements you want to check against into a set, and then you check if x is in the set. And this basically would then performs membership, checking membership, and checking membership in sets is very efficiently implemented, so that it has constant runtime complexity no matter how large the set is. It uses the hash value of the element x and checks it against the elements in the set, and like this hash value, checking hash values against each other it's implemented very efficiently using hash tables in Python sets. So therefore, I mean, this is the most concise way of checking membership, of actually performing equal to operation on multiple values. If you have even if you would have, say, a list of a lot of elements like Alice, Bob, Carl, 42, none, 21, something like this. So you have a list of some elements. Now you have say a query object. Let's call it query Carl. So it's like a database. Now we want to check if our object Carl is in our database. If like any object here is equal to our query. And now of course we can iterate over for all x in list if x equal query print yay, something like this. So we could do the following, to check it, but this is kind of quite clunky. So the more concise, better way of doing it actually is to just check query in converting the list to a set and doing it like this. Okay, so you could of course also use query in list, which is like same efficiency because the conversion itself has linear runtime complexity, and checking membership of an object in a list also has linear runtime complexity. Okay, so this is how you can do check Python equal to A or B, or check Python equal to logical OR operation on the equality testing. And you can also check like another problem maybe to check whether number X is equal to not a number. So say you have you create a variable, not a number variable. This can sometimes happen in mathematical operations. So here you can use the float constructor to create not a number value and assign it to variable X. Now X, if you print X, X has the not a number value. So not a number value means that it is basically you still can perform arithmetic computations like here X plus 2, and it keeps infecting the result, right? So if you have, for example, y is x times x, y is also not a number. Okay, so this allows you to perform arithmetic computations even in the presence of some errors or mathematical problems without raising an exception actually. So it is sometimes used. And now how can we check if a value x is not a number? Basically we can use the math is none x operation. So this is just sometimes people search for Python equal to not a number, and this is how you can actually do it. Yeah, so you use the math is none operation. Okay, so in summary, the Python equal to operator returns true when the left operand is equal to the right operand, and otherwise it returns false, and you can override it using the magic methods as you have seen in our person example. The magic method with the name dunder eq, so you just override this method, takes two arguments, self and other, and then you simply return a Boolean value, right? Okay, thanks for listening to this video, and see you in the next video. Bye.